What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm continuing this little mini series of scouting these elite defensive players as prospects that went later in the draft. We're talking about Draymond Green, and man, this tape is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe Draymond fell to the second round. And I want to start this by looking at some old scouting reports. These were the only ones I could really find on Draymond, and you'll see a lot of similarities. Glue guy, low upside. Doesn't excel in any one area. This was one people had, right? Just causes a bit disadvantage because he does not do anything great. Obviously, no shade to these guys, but I just have no idea how you watched him and came to this conclusion. But anyways, like, subscribe, comment, and Draymond was a godly rim protector already in college. Look at the quick twitch explosion, getting over there and swatting that shot. Draymond was already the crazy cerebral help defender, and his feel for the game, processing, awareness, all that good stuff were very clearly, to me, special, and we'll get into that. And obviously, he had great length. His movement skills were great. He wasn't always in like the best shape, I don't think, and that kind of impacted the conditioning, but you still see him able to leap explosively off 2 feet. Draymond is the master of the jumping backward contest. Like, this is I think there's a great Thinking Basketball video about this, where Draymond, you see he jumps, his feet are here around the the arc, and when he lands, his feet are here. It's crazy, and it's not just the jumping, but it's also how quick he reacts right here. Draymond starts moving before the ball handler is by the defender. But if he doesn't react that quickly, Draymond knows that he's not going to have time to get to that play. Draymond is a crazy fast defensive processor. It didn't always result in points or points saved necessarily, but you can just see how quickly he's reading out. Like, he's guarding Christian Watford, shout out legend, by the way, and then he notices this defensive breakdown. Normally, this is a wide open layup, but Draymond does well to make this a at least somewhat difficult layup. Zeller has to think a little bit at least to get that over Draymond. And he's constantly making these super early rotations that force turnovers. And again, he ends up, I don't really know about that. I don't know. I mean, he's outside the restricted area. I don't know. I'm not crazy about that call personally. But point being is, one, the way that he reacts so early. This is when he takes his first step. The attacker has not even crossed the 3-point line, and Draymond is already rotating. This is the special. This is the unique, the rare stuff that I feel like people just didn't talk about. Or maybe even, like, back when I first got on draft Twitter, like 2019, 2018, I saw people talking about this, and I'm like, this is insane. How did I never notice this? But again, you see Draymond with the kind of next level basketball savant-y IQ play where he's basically baiting reading this defender, baiting this pass to the inside. Again, uses his awesome length. Though Draymond was obviously shorter, he always had that incredibly long wingspan, and he combined that with great coordination to really just make life hell as a contester, as a rotator. Such an impressive dig defender as well. It's really hard to dribble around Draymond. He's such a good help defender because he can just sit down and dig out handles and help, but he's also quick and smart enough to recover and position himself well to do that. So Draymond was an unbelievable defensive player in college. He's a great perimeter mover for his size too. Like, just look at how quick Draymond changes directions here. He's running vertical to close out, immediately switches to slide horizontal, lateral, cuts off this man, and he ends up turning the ball over. So I also don't really agree with the assessments about Draymond not being like a good athlete or not being fluid. Like, he was a great mover, not like a crazy explosive run jump athlete by any means. That's certainly true, but in terms of functional basketball athleticism, Draymond excelled in the ways that mattered, and he was really, really good as like an off-ball screen chaser as well. This is another made shot, but like, look at where Draymond starts this from, and he has the agility to like kind of zip out there. He is, he ball watches here. Draymond would ball watch at times. That's kind of something that most defenders are prone to. And I think he got better at that early in his career. But yeah, his defense was absolutely unbelievable and really easy to see, in my opinion, perfectly honestly. But his offense was harder to see. And Draymond, I want to go back to one of these scouting reports that was like This is honestly close. His ceiling dances around the mid-20s where a playoff team can use him right away. By the way, shout out Jonathan Wasserman. Almost right there. But she just kind of didn't realize the extent to how much that happened. Where Draymond is an amplifier of great talent. He's always going to make this pass to the flare screen, and sometimes, hopefully in the NBA, he has a teammate who shoots this. And you can see Draymond is upset that, I believe it's Keith Appling, that Appling doesn't shoot that. He was Michigan State's nominal point guard. And again, we see some weirdness. I don't know why they set this screen right into this next help defender. That just makes Draymond's life a little tougher. He could have just quickly swung the ball, ends up turning it over. But I do think Draymond's value just wasn't apparent on box scores because of the way that he created shots and chances for his teammates. Like, you probably didn't really even notice the great transition work that Draymond does right here. He's always pushing up the floor, and if he had better teammates, a point guard who maybe would skip the ball over to this wide open shooter, then they get points on the board. And Draymond is more directly responsible for that. And then he's just set up to, running the offense, working. And, his offense ends up scoring. But another example, right? Draymond sealing Victor Oladipo, doesn't get the ball because he wasn't playing with a ton of great playmakers. But I think even then we could see how incredible Green was in his high moments where his passing was so good. Look at this kind of mid-air left-handed wraparound crazy window right there. Draymond using his left hand, using his great wingspan to make plays, and he was just an awesome pick and roll player. Where Draymond, he wasn't a shooting threat. Teams would duck under him, but he's simply just going to use the rescreen right here. Two defenders commit to him, and even though there's not a ton of space in here, he knows that there is space to pass into his big, and there's a nice finish right there. So Draymond was pretty much a point guard at times for Michigan State, and he was the best at it, really. I mean, his ability to get low, dip his shoulder, you see the leverage here on this advantage creation. And Draymond, of course, was never an incredible creator or scorer in the NBA. That just wasn't his game. But Draymond was the primary scoring and creating option in college. And I talked about this plenty on the channel, how having these responsibilities where you're posting up, drawing a double, great interior pass, bodes well for the future. I want my NBA role players, and with Draymond, role player in heavy quotation marks, to be overqualified, to be stars at the college level. And yeah, Draymond's just getting isolation post-ups. He's kicking it out. Draymond's going to get the ball back. And pretty much the offense ran around him. He's going to get the ball again here at the end of this play. And that's just an incredible pass. Where Draymond's ability to process on the fly is unreal. And he was always so quick with his decision making. He notices that this defender's ball watching, but the pump fake ensures that this guy is probably not going to be so aware of what's happening, and then he zips the ball down for a great finish by number 30 right there. So yeah, Draymond was constantly creating high-level plays for his teammates that, sometimes didn't finish them. He was another progenitor of the jump pass where Draymond would often leave the floor. It looks like he's just trying to shot put lob the ball over into his big man to go draw a foul. So he loved to do that more than most bigs at this time would kind of ever even consider. Another jump pass here where not the perfect accuracy and delivery on this play. Draymond probably should have just bulleted it down there, but he does lob it over, and his big man gets a wide open layup, and that ends up being an assist for him. And he was generally pretty crazy good against double teams. His processing in the few games that I watched in the clips, teams would throw two at him, immediately he's picking them apart. His teammate just drops the pass right there. But point being, Draymond was so good at just carving these post double teams. We see him quickly skip, and he's gonna do it twice on this play. This is just such a cool one play visual of the kind of playmaker Draymond was and the kind of gravity that he had, where Draymond, at the first, he makes immediate decisions. Sees this right here. He sees Tim Hardaway Jr. is helping in the paint, so he's kicking it out for a three. Easy. Great rotations by Michigan right here. The ball gets back to him. This time, Hardaway's rotating, but Nick Stauskas is late. He notices that Stauskas is behind his guy who can just go up and finish right there. So two brilliant passes by Draymond within the span of about 5 seconds, because there were so many moments where he is just doing everything for this team. And again, you see Quick double team comes, Draymond kicks it out, but Michigan State, I believe, turns the ball over because they just didn't have a bunch of great perimeter creators outside of Draymond. So again, another good play by Draymond that's not going to end up showing up in the box score. The double teams definitely could lead to some turnovers and some risky passes, though. And, again, it's hard to see this pass to Payne right here. Rest in peace, by the way. I believe that's Adrian Payne. Yeah, rest in peace, man. But Green just had that next level vision and was willing to try stuff. His handle was a bit of a limiting factor as well. He had like a fine handle for a big, really good in the open floor, but he'd pick up the ball a lot and like try to survey. And I think that would get him in trouble, especially when his teammates weren't really moving off the ball that much. And like I said, his like anticipation here, he's trying to do that same jump pass where he's passing into space. This time, maybe he should have lofted it. And also he and his teammates were just not on the same page. And it looks like his big was kind of getting held there as well. So maybe that should have been a foul, honestly. But point being, Draymond and, so many of these brilliant passers are prone to turnovers because they just try crazy stuff and they have this inventive vision that they use to impart value and to create easy shots. And Draymond was no different. But Draymond had some moments as a scorer. Like, he wasn't that crazy at creating separation off the dribble. He could get downhill, but he wasn't always finishing incredibly well against length, but Draymond really could like take over. I was watching this Indiana game where there was a stretch, I think I have it somewhere in here, where Draymond had like a crazy stretch of points, and though Draymond, again, was not a scorer, it's like, okay, you're going to switch guards onto me, I am going to go straight at them. I'm not going to waste any movement. And again, I think that decisiveness correlates with the feel, the intelligence, all, again, a very special trait in my opinion. He gets fouled, but oh my God, Victor Oladipo. This is freshman Victor Oladipo. He had some absolutely ridiculous plays in this game. Here we go. Scored 18 of last 20 Michigan State points. They were getting creamed early in this game, and Draymond kind of single-handedly led the back. Like, Draymond had 30 in Game 7 of the finals. Like, he, definitely not a guy who is going to score. He's not wired to score, but he can if you need him to, or could in his prime, certainly. I don't know as much about now. But Green, I think, was a okay shooting prospect. Like, he was definitely willing to take these. And I think Draymond even like had good shooting seasons and great shooting moments throughout his career. But like he shot some movement threes. His volume was pretty solid free throw shooter. So there were definitely reasons to believe in Draymond's shot, maybe even being better than it was. Like I don't know if you can say his shot hit like 100% outcome in the league, but yeah, could flash some pull ups off the dribble. And then offensive rebounding, he was so good just cleaning up, and he doesn't end up finishing right there because he was a little smaller. That definitely impacted him at times. But man, like, I don't know. I said in the Caruso video that I probably would have been higher on him than undrafted, but I don't know if I could have like projected him to be that level of special. Draymond, I don't know, man. Like, he really is a guy who I think draft Twitter like would have loved. Just like the feel, the intelligence. He is one of the most brilliant players of all time, and I think that was apparent on his college tape as well. Just the way he quarterbacked everything on offense and defense. I mean, he was like one of the high vote getters for National Player of the Year, right? Like, he wasn't some mystery. And I do think, it was just teams not at the time understanding the value of the way that he could like amplify superstars with connective passing and transition play and defensive versatility and timely scoring, but I do think Draymond Green had some very, very special traits, and always want to bet on those. But yeah, I love this. This was so much fun watching Prospect Draymond, and let me know what you think.